Did you know Adolf Hitler, one of history's most notorious figures, originally aspired to be a painter? That's right, the man who would later lead the Third Reich had artistic ambitions. Long before his name became synonymous with war and genocide, Hitler was a struggling artist, dreaming of making a name for himself with brushes and paints. Born in Braunau am Inn, Austria, Hitler moved to Vienna in his late teens with the hopes of attending the prestigious Vienna Academy of Fine Arts. Unfortunately, his dreams didn't quite align with reality. Despite his efforts, he was rejected twice from the academy. These rejections were a significant blow to young Hitler, and some historians believe that they may have played a part in shaping the future path he took. However, Hitler didn't give up on his artistic dreams right away. He continued to paint, producing hundreds of works, mostly of landscapes, architectural scenes and portraits. His style was rather conventional, depicting idyllic scenes that sharply contrasted with the dark reality he would later create. Hitler's paintings were far from the avant-garde styles popular at that time. Instead, they reflected his preference for order and his rejection of modernist chaos. Indeed, Hitler's artistry provides a fascinating insight into his psyche. His paintings, with their precise and meticulous details, hint at his obsession with control. The rejection from the academy, too, might have fueled his disdain for the intellectual and artistic elites, a sentiment that would later play a significant role in his political ideology. From a struggling young artist in Vienna to the dictator of the Third Reich, this was just the beginning of Hitler's unconventional journey. As we dive deeper into his life story, we'll uncover more surprising facts about this infamous figure, shedding light on the complex and paradoxical nature of his character. But for now, let's take a moment to reflect on this lesser-known aspect of his life. A time when Hitler, rather than commanding armies, was simply trying to master the art of painting. A man's journey from a corporal in World War I to the Führer of Nazi Germany is certainly a tale worth telling. In the trenches of the First World War, a young Adolf Hitler served as a dispatch runner. He was far from the halls of power, yet it was here, amidst the mud and blood, that the seeds of his political awakening were sown. Hitler was decorated for bravery, but the war's end left him disillusioned. Germany's defeat stirred a potent mix of nationalism and resentment in him. In the turbulent post-war period, Hitler found a new purpose in the German Workers' Party, soon to be renamed the National Socialist German Workers' Party, or more infamously, the Nazi Party. He was not just a member but a charismatic speaker, his fiery speeches resonating with those who felt betrayed by the Treaty of Versailles. Hitler's rhetoric was a potent cocktail of fear, pride, and hate, skillfully manipulated to stoke the fires of ultra-nationalism. But speeches alone did not make a dictator. Hitler's rise to power was also aided by a well-oiled propaganda machine. Joseph Goebbels, the propaganda minister, played a pivotal role in this. He masterfully used every medium available, from radio and films to posters and rallies, to amplify Hitler's message and carefully craft his image. The combination of charismatic leadership and relentless propaganda was a powerful force, sweeping Hitler to the chancellorship in 1933. From this position, Hitler quickly consolidated power. He quashed opposition, silenced critics, and transformed the democratic Weimar Republic into a one-party totalitarian state. By 1934, following the death of President Hindenburg, Hitler declared himself Führer, the absolute dictator of Germany. A once disillusioned soldier had now become the dictator of Germany, setting the stage for one of the darkest chapters in human history. Away from the public eye, Hitler's private life was filled with oddities and eccentricities. Let's delve into the peculiarities that marked Hitler's personal life. One of the most striking aspects was his staunch commitment to vegetarianism. Yes, you heard it right. The man who orchestrated the horrors of World War II and the Holocaust abstained from meat. He often cited his fondness for animals and his distaste for animal cruelty as reasons behind his dietary choice. He even predicted that the world would one day adopt vegetarianism, making a rather ironic claim about a future marked by compassion. Now let's switch gears to a different kind of fear: Hitler's fear of cats, also known as ailurophobia. This phobia was not just a mild discomfort, but a full-blown fear that would cause him to leave a room if a cat entered. Oddly enough, he had a fondness for German shepherds and owned a dog named Blondie. Hitler's passion for opera was another defining quirk. Richard Wagner's works in particular held a special place in his heart. He found solace in the grandeur and drama of the opera, often attending performances and even whistling operatic tunes. His love for opera was so profound that he once claimed it was because of Wagner's Tristan und Isolde that he embarked on his political career. Let's not forget Hitler's relationship with Eva Braun, a relationship that was kept largely out of the public eye. Braun was a figure who remained in the shadows, rarely seen but always present. She was fiercely loyal to Hitler, standing by him in his final days in the bunker. Their relationship, much like the rest of Hitler's personal life, was a complex and intriguing part of his narrative. In the midst of chaos and destruction, Hitler's private life was a curious mix of the mundane and the bizarre. His eccentricities provide us a glimpse into the man behind the dictator, revealing a life marked by paradoxes and contradictions. As the Allies closed in, Hitler's reign was nearing its end. In the final days of World War II, Adolf Hitler retreated to the depths of his bunker in Berlin. He was a shadow of his former self, a man consumed by paranoia and defeat. Below the war-ravaged streets, Hitler lived out his last days. His once grand vision of a new world order had crumbled into a desperate struggle for survival. The bunker was his fortress, his prison, and would eventually become his tomb. In the midst of this dismal setting, a strange event took place. On April 29, 1945, Hitler married his longtime companion, Eva Braun. It was an odd semblance of normalcy in a world turned upside down. The ceremony was brief and to the point, a stark contrast to the lavish displays of power Hitler was known for. With his new bride by his side, Hitler prepared for the end. He had decided to die on his own terms rather than fall into the hands of the Allies. His final act was to pen a political testament and a personal will, where he expressed his disillusionment with his once loyal followers, his unwavering hatred for the Jews, and his decision to die by suicide. Finally, on the afternoon of April 30th, Hitler and Braun retired to their private quarters. It was there that they ended their lives, Braun by ingesting cyanide, and Hitler with a gunshot to the head. In the aftermath, their bodies were hastily cremated in the Chancellery Garden, a gruesome end to a reign marked by terror and death. News of Hitler's suicide spread quickly, leaving the world to grapple with the reality of his demise. In the end, the man who had brought so much destruction upon the world chose to take his own life, leaving a legacy of devastation behind. The final days of Hitler marked the end of a dark chapter in human history, a tale of ambition turned deadly, and a reminder of the depths to which humanity can sink when consumed by hatred and fear. From an aspiring painter to a ruthless dictator, Hitler's life was a whirlwind of unexpected twists and turns. The journey we've taken through his life has revealed a complex and deeply troubled individual who left an indelible mark on history. We began by exploring Hitler's artistic ambitions, a world away from the violent dictator we've come to know. His early years as a struggling painter in Vienna, his dream to attend the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts, and his deep love for opera, particularly Wagner's works, all paint a picture of a man who might have taken a different path. But fate had other plans, and we saw Hitler's transformation into a dictator. From his time as a decorated soldier in World War I, to his rise through the ranks of the National Socialist German Workers' Party, and ultimately his seizure of power as Chancellor and Führer of Germany, we've traced the steps that led to one of the darkest periods in human history. Then we delved into the quirks of Hitler's personal life, his vegetarianism driven by a deep love for animals, his fear of dentists and obsession with his niece Gaily Raubal. The man behind the dictator was just as complex and perplexing. In the final days of Hitler, we witnessed his descent into paranoia and despair, culminating in his suicide in the bunker in Berlin. A fitting end to a life marked by destruction and chaos. As we reflect on these shocking facets of Hitler's life, we are reminded of the impact of his actions on the world. The horror of the Holocaust, the devastation of World War II, and the millions of lives lost to his brutal regime, all bear testament to the destructive potential of unchecked power and extremist ideologies. A life filled with contradictions, Hitler's story serves as a chilling reminder of the depths to which humanity can sink, and the importance of vigilance against such extremes in the future.